Scars from recent communal violence mark the streets of Lod in Israel. During riots this May, several synagogues were set on fire and a Muslim cemetery desecrated. 2 men were killed. A Jewish man, Yigal Yehoshua, was lynched by a mob throwing bricks. And an Arab resident, Musa Hassouna, was shot dead by far-right Jewish vigilantes.
He was behind, they were in front, and the settler put a bullet right through his heart.
He was hit in the heart?
Yes, in the heart. Let's go inside.
Katia, a Jewish neighbour, has come to offer her condolences to the Hassouna family, who are long-standing members of Lod's Arab community, based here well before 1948 and the creation of the State of Israel.
We've always lived normally alongside Jews. There have never been any problems alongside us. We work together, visit each other during holidays. Our problem is with the others, the extremist Jews they've brought in.
Those they call extremists or settlers are recently arrived Jews. And the armed, far-right Jewish groups who arrived during the riots, they said, to defend Lod.
They want to chase the Palestinians out of Lod. It's no longer safe. They came in large numbers. Extremist settlers came to Lod with an aim. They want to attack Arabs and get the Arabs out.
There is this conflict here between Jews and Arabs, and something was bound to happen one day. But I never thought it would be this bad. And it's so sad. Is it political? It must be in somebody's interest. Otherwise, they would have stopped it a long time ago.
I say if the policy of the mayor is to bring in settlers, there can never be reconciliation between Arabs and Jews. There's going to be a bloodbath here.
Community tensions in this mixed city have been brewing for years. Many Arabs, who make up 30% of the population, accuse Lod City Hall of favouring Jews and facilitating the arrival of the Garin Tzarni, a religious nationalist movement which for decades has worked to promote what it calls Jewish values in poor cities. Tahel is a member.
It's very sad and very disturbing knowing that someone can just come and burn down a house, and just because, I guess, from hate.
Tahel left an Israeli settlement in the West Bank 2 years ago to live in this majority Arab neighbourhood of Lod. Until recently, this was the home of a Jewish couple belonging to the Garin. It was torched during the riots. Relations with the neighbours were already minimal. Now, they seem impossible.
There were bombing and alarms that we had to go down to the shelter. We weren't sure, like, is it safer to stay in the house? Is it safer to go down to the shelter with our families when we know what's going on down there? And in one point, we just decided not to go down to the shelter because it was too scary.
Over the years, the Garin Tzarni, or Torah nucleus, has obtained permits to build entire neighbourhoods in the city. They now count some 1,200 families. Mordechai left Los Angeles 13 years ago to reinforce the Jewish community of Lod.
Originally, there were 5 buildings that were built, right? And we were proud members of the Garin. And then if you turn around, you can see all these other buildings that in the last 5, 6, 7 years that have built.
Just to be clear, here, this is a Jewish community.
This is a Jewish community. This was built as a Jewish community. In fact, this was even originally supposed to have been sold only to religious Jews.
A hard-right political banner hangs at the entrance to one block. Although Mordechai insists it doesn't represent his or all his community's views, that their aim is to improve the city. The Garin Tzarni took root in Lod 25 years ago and has built homes, schools and nurseries. On their Hebrew website, the Garin links Lod's decline with the, quote, massive infiltration of problematic Arab populations and growing criminality.
Me'iriyat Lod.
Garin members we spoke to echoed this sense of insecurity. Yet, far from stirring up tensions, Mordechai believes the Garin's growth is the recipe for harmony.
We continue bringing more Jews to the city. We grow the Garin, we grow the houses, we grow the buildings. We demand better education in the city, better municipal services, certainly better police. We want good people to come to the city, right? I want, by the way, if there are good Arabs that want to come to the city, fantastic. There should be good Arabs that come to the city. That's great.
The contrast with Arab neighborhoods of Lod is flagrant. A recent report by an Israeli Knesset commission found the Arab areas were universally the poorest, at the very bottom of the socio-economic scale, and unemployment for Arab men 10% higher. They may be Israeli citizens, but feel alienated and afraid of authorities. Amid arrests following protests in support of East Jerusalem, they'll only speak under cover of anonymity.
Of course I support the Palestinian cause. Those people are being thrown out of their homes, and the Israeli courts have given orders to evict them and install settlers there instead.
These young men feel they're victims of the same conflict that's gripping the occupied territories.
The Jews can get houses at very low prices, but we need to obtain permits, and if you don't have them, they can come and demolish your house. With how things are, I can't see myself living here. With this racism, I can't live here.
It's a familiar sentiment of injustice. But after the recent conflict, Arab youths here are less afraid than ever of rallying to the Palestinian cause. For now, calm has returned to Lod, but there's a sense it could only take the next spark to set this tinderbox on fire once more.